Welcome to day 9 of devotionals. So today I wanted to talk about Christian hope in the midst of suffering. This is definitely something God has been teaching me this semester, so I thought I'd share a little bit on that first. So obviously, coming into senior year, I came with all these plans and expectations, but nowhere in my plans did that include being so overwhelmed and emotionally burdened by school. Well, more specifically by clinicals. For my critical care rotations, I was in the intensive care units at the local hospitals, and I was just super overwhelmed by the amount of suffering I saw in these patients and families, whether it was seeing someone my age on the brink of death, or holding someone's hand as they cried for their departed family member, or sometimes watching people survive and die after CPR. It was just all very unexpected for me. And I can only imagine what the healthcare workers are going through right now with the corona pandemic and just watching otherwise healthy people suddenly die. It's just a lot. And honestly, for me this semester, public health clinicals was not that much better, because even though I absolutely loved the work, because I did, it was very frustrating seeing people work very hard to try to survive and be successful, but they were just disadvantaged by poverty or discrimination and the other structures of society. I found myself constantly asking why, or questioning God. It was very tempting to question his goodness, that he truly was everything that we know him to be. And it's obviously very natural to have doubts, but it's dangerous to question the character of God. Like Brian shared at large group last week, in order to know God's revelations, you need to have an unconditional love relationship with him, and that's hard to do when you're constantly questioning and doubting him. So this semester I felt very convicted to constantly remind myself that the reason for suffering in the world is because sin entered and tainted the perfect creation that God had intended. But he still loved us so much that he gave the person of Jesus to die on the cross and give us salvation. So some scripture that has encouraged me is 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 through 18. It says, "Therefore we do not lose heart. Although outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes on not what is seen, but what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal." I find this scripture to be so incredibly encouraging, because even if we're suffering in the present age, compared to all of eternity, our life on this earth is just going to be like a blink of an eye. And in Romans, we've been called to rejoice in our suffering because it builds perseverance and character and ultimately hope. And I know that in the midst of a pandemic, it might be very easy to fall into despair or loneliness when everything seems so uncertain. But my prayer and hope for all of us is that we're able to see God's grander plan and to trust in his promises. Romans chapter 8, verse 28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." And the devil's always out there creeping in the corners, and he's going to try to feed us all these lies. But I hope that y'all remember that God really is good all the time. Be blessed one way.